For how long did you try getting a child, or have you tried getting a child?
Well, in marriage, you try from day one, yeah. Like as soon as you're told you can now kiss the bride, things start happening from there, right? But for us, we actively, like, it became a conscious thought 2 years into our marriage. Reason being, the first 2 years we're taking care of his late mom. She fell ill and were her primary caregivers. So yes, we were doing what needs to be done, but it wasn't really disturbing us. Like, okay, 2 years in, there's no child. It wasn't really an issue until she passed on. Then we're like, okay, now there's a gap. Something is missing.
Yeah. Most of the focus is on her.
Yeah.
So now as we started focusing on us, now we started realizing that we're having this thing that's not happening. And that's when we started now actively figuring out, okay, what to do next? What's happening?
That was after 2 years now.
Yeah.
Correct.
Exactly.
But even then, it wasn't like an immediate, okay, wow, something is amiss. It was actually a series of events that led to us having a sit down with our doctor and realizing, okay, this is what the problem is and this is what needs to be done and we need to start ASAP. I had gone through a series of losses. His mom, then my best friend died of cancer as well. Then the same week my best friend died, a very close cousin of mine also lost a baby, and I was in between burying and being in hospital, and so my system just flared up. And it was on the way to burying the little boy, the one who had just been born, that he decided, as we're waiting for people at Lee, see, we check into Nairobi hospital, they just do a check on you just to make sure everything is okay. And that's when they found my blood pressure was off the roof, and I was fine. I was no symptoms. I was okay. I was running around taking care of everyone. And they found my blood pressure was off the roof. I had diabetes. Okay, my sugars were also up the roof. And that led to a series of, okay, what's going on in your system? Because these were not symptoms, they were non-symptomatic. And that now led us to, why do you have these issues? And yeah, we got referred to Dr. Yamal.
So it was a chain of events that led from one thing to the other. So one thing started it off and then triggered the next thing. So we started first with the high blood pressure, led to a much deeper checkup, which now we found the diabetes, and then that now led now to the point where actually it was a period that was an issue.
Even that December, I remember that December, my periods were crazy.
Yes.
It was so painful.
Yeah.
I couldn't leave
And
the
they were
bed,
heavy.
and they were so
They were
heavy.
heavy,
He
yeah.
had to massage me so
Yeah,
that I
they're
could
heavy.
move, not even leave the bed, just move. And that now made us, you know,
Yeah.
we need to go see an obs guy and find out what's going on. Yeah.
Maybe just before we get to that, I want to take you back a bit to the point where you're married now. And I think my question was supposed to be, okay, for how long had you, like from getting married, from the day you got married to when now the 2 years lapsed? Had you thought about it before, like, oh, so we'd want to get pregnant at this, like year 1 or year 2?
So before we got married, we had thought about 30 kids. Thank you. She remembers that. So in our mind, we knew once we get into this, we are getting 30 children, each a staircase all the way down. Second floor, third floor, if that is 30 stairs.
Yeah.
So yes, we did have that in mind before we got married. And actually, when we did get married, it was still a part of the plan. But as she says correctly now, when we started now taking care of our mom, I don't know if that's the right word to use, but it took a back seat as we took care of her.
Because she was a more bigger priority than
At that
we are
moment.
at that point.
Yeah.
But yes, we've had the conversations before we got
Yes.
married. Our prima classes, there was that conversation as well. What if? So I could say God had already started preparing us into what we were going into. And also just the fact that he's my friend, we are friends. So our conversations were not we must get children. That there's a certain pressure society puts on families. So for us, we didn't have that. It was just, okay, let's do this first, and then we can now continue focusing on us.
Yeah, I think there's something that he mentioned that once your mom passed on, now the attention came to you guys.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
So
It was just us.
yeah, there's now no more waking
Exactly.
up.
Oh, I thought it was actually from people now, like the attention.
No. We're talking about now us
Yeah.
in terms of now in relation now to conceiving and getting children.
Yeah.
That's what we meant in terms of
There's
attention.
there's the people, but more so there's the us. Like what's happening? Shouldn't we have shown something by now? What's going on? Yeah, and then with all the symptoms now the things starting to happen, and my body just deciding I'm done. That's when we decided, okay, we need to go see a doctor.